Hi, thanks for joining us on another episode of Connecticut Real Estate Weekly, brought to you by the ResSet Loan Team at CMG Home Loans. I'm here with my guest, Jason Kemp. So, funny story, Jason has actually had me on his podcast twice, so I felt like it was time to return the favor and get this gentleman on our podcast. Super interesting guest. Really looking forward to this conversation.
Yeah, definitely.
And I'm looking forward to being on the other side of this, more importantly.
Yeah, thank you.
Jason, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thanks for having me. Well, I'm JG Kemp, JG and Associates, powered by Five Star Realty. I'm a real estate agent, and I absolutely love what I'm doing. I'm just a normal guy.
So let's talk about what got you into real estate? Why did you choose this as a career path?
That's a good question. So, I got into real estate over 20 years ago because I wanted to create freedom, not just for myself, but for others. Funny story. Again, I've been doing for 22 years. I was at the barber shop one day, and a guy came in who I thought looked successful. He pulled up this is 2002, so he pulled up in a brand new S600.
All right.
And, dressed nice. And I said to him, what do you do? And he said, I do real estate. And I said, could you teach me what you do? So, when I think about it now, like, who does that?
No one.
Right?
Literally no one.
I said, can you help me? Do what you do. He said, come to the office. That was Century 21, William R. Smith, Quantic Avenue. And I went to the office, and the rest is history.
So, it's really cool. Like, was he a broker? Is he a broker?
He was not a broker. He was a regular agent, Andre Manson. But he worked under Bill Smith, who was one of my, favorite brokers. And they literally brought me in the office, told me to study and what to do, go to GHAR. And I literally followed.
You know what? Like, it's so cool when you hear stories like that,
Yeah.
because, the people that are willing to give mentorship to people coming in, it's a huge deal.
Oh, my God.
Because, you get to learn how to do it the right way, the way successful people do it, the way, upright people do it, so it's awesome.
It is, and as you know now, right, because you've done it about as long as me.
Yeah.
Coaching, support, mentorship, training is very important because it's going to take you about 5 years to really, really learn this business before you can go off on your own and feel comfortable.
Having that support structure is
100%,
really important.
100%.
Because at the end of the day, let's say that person that you've mentored doesn't stay with you.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna have to work with them at some point in time anyway. So it's at least that they've been trained. So it's not like you're not sitting there going like, oh man,
right. I had to add something to that. I take this industry very seriously. When I talk to somebody and they have a bad experience, I don't want to be that person. But how are you not going to be that person if you don't have the proper training, support, and the systems in place for that to happen? So I've been blessed.
Good. That's awesome. What questions should buyers be asking when they're interviewing potential realtors, that are wanting to buy or sell? What questions should people be asking? Because I don't think people know the types of questions to ask a realtor, because they don't buy and sell homes all the time,
Right. That's a good question too, because the average person, they only usually have one house their whole life. We do this every day, all day.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know. And you learn that more as the years go by. Well, great questions. Buyers and sellers should be interviewing us just as much as we interview them, right? So things like, how will we protect my best interests? How will you come in and make sure I'm feeling comfortable and I am getting exactly to where I need to go, right? You have to be a coach in the situation, all right, and walk through the process as smoothly as possible, right? What's your pricing or negotiation strategy? You definitely have to know your pricing. You definitely need to know your market stats, your data. You need to know your strategy,
right?
Especially in the market we're in, and we are still in one of the hottest markets in America. So you don't want to put somebody on the market overpriced, right? And then they're sitting and they're waiting.
Because now all of a sudden it's like you're in a seller's market, yet you have a listing that's sitting,
for 3 months, 6 months, right? But these people don't know.
Right.
We know. We look at it. We're like, oh, you got a terrible agent. But yes, so strategy.
Right.
Okay. How do you communicate during a transaction? Communication is key. Getting your people the feedback when they need it in a timely fashion.
Mhm.
That is one of the biggest things in this industry that people complain about is being able to get a hold of someone.
Mhm.
Simply pick up your phone, right? Simply leave a message. I like to call twice, double dial,
Yeah.
leave a voicemail, text them, and then send an email. So these are some of the things that I do to communicate. What's your experience with challenges in whatever type of deal they're trying to do? And that comes with experience again.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so those are some good questions.
Okay. So let's talk about the coaching aspect. Yeah, because I don't get to deal with a lot of sellers. And I've always been kind of curious about this. So when you're dealing with a seller, and let's say in this market you're getting multiple offers. So like you're working with the seller and they've got 5 offers. How do you help that seller determine which offer they should take? Because it's not always going to be the highest offer. It's not always going to be that cash offer either. So how do you help that seller, guide that seller into making that decision?
I like to call it future pacing,
Okay.
right? It's upfront asking open-ended questions to find out what their motivation and what the goals are so that you are able to help them meet that goal in a timely fashion and being honest, because every deal is different. It's not, again, always about the highest and best. It's not always about the closing date. It might not be about a conventional or FHA. You don't know, but you will know if you ask the correct questions up front. So it's pre-qualifying, just like a doctor would do, an attorney would do, any real professional would do when you're going out and you're listing this property,
Mhm.
so that you can help them out the best way possible and being able to get them the correct terms and conditions to satisfy their need.
Do you ever call the lenders of those customers? Like,
100%,
yeah,
especially now. I hate to say it, these buyer agents nowadays have changed.
okay,
You know, um, I'm not gonna really go into, but yeah, 100%. Yes, I'm calling the lender.
okay,
Because the worst thing I want to do is go back to my seller and then have them accept the deal and then have them in a contract, multi-month contract with a buyer who couldn't satisfy that loan
right,
and we're not closing.
right,
So yes, I'm definitely calling
good.
lender. Lender is key. Lender is the most important part of the deal
But the
because
money,
they
you can't
provide the
really.
money.
You say without the money, you can't really.
Can't get nothing.
Um, so when let's switch to buyers now. So when a buyer is looking to make an offer on a property, how do you help them negotiate? Like, say, hey, here's what a good strong offer would be. Like, is it like, more money as a deposit? Is it more money in terms of like a list? Like, is there contingencies? Like, how do you help the buyer make a buyer in this market make a competitive
In this
offer?
market, because we're still in a very competitive market, strong market. If priced right, you're going to end up in a multi-offer situation, and that house is going to be sold within a week, if not a day, if not hours.
Right.
Okay, it's still happening.
Yep.
Okay, I really feel as though this is where an all-around agent is key. A listing agent is even way more key because you're an expert in the market. You know pricing. Uh, if I see a home in a certain area or wherever it is, uh, and I'm running comps, I'm able to tell what type of strategy that agent used.
Do people tend to use more like price per square foot, or are they using it more based
Price per
on?
square foot is all the way around. Unless you're getting into like really rich neighborhoods and you really in like custom built homes, you really can't comp those out properly. You
Got
might have to go off an assessment. You might have to get an appraisal, right? And I highly suggest getting an appraisal once you start getting over that 800-900 million
Yeah.
dollar mark. All right, there's no guessing at that point.
Right.
But yeah, I could tell by that price after I ran my comps what type of strategy that agent used. Uh, if it's aggressively priced offers, I'm going 15% or more over asking. If it's at market and I can see it's at market, then we pretty much know that we're not going to get too many showings, too many offers. So, you could pretty much come around asking or a little higher. Um, if it's a little over market, you pretty much know. Most people I've learned in my 22 years of selling property won't even look at an overpriced home. If they do come up, they won't make an offer. I don't know what that is. It's not like a car. They don't really haggle unless it's like cash deal. And if you overprice the house, I'm going to be able to tell that. So then that, by knowing that, I'm going to be able to tell the buyer what type of offer to come with.
So when you do see a house that's overpriced, do listing agents ever ask for feedback on like showings or like like how it's priced, or like do they ever ask like, hey, I saw that you came and saw the house, didn't make an offer, can you give me some feedback? Does anyone ever ask that?
Feedback is very important. If you're not getting feedback, you are doing an injustice to your client, because feedback is the roadmap. It helps us get to where we need to go. It helps you strategize. It helps you powwow. I just had a client the other day tell me, I got him off an expired. He's a good guy. Really appreciates the feedback. I have an admin now. She's in the Dominican Republic.
Mhm.
She gets me my feedback every day. That was kind of the customer service that was lacking, because I was getting so busy and my personal assistant was getting so busy that we couldn't even get the people the feedback.
Yeah.
I couldn't get the feedback. I need to know the feedback so that we know how to strategize, whether it's cosmetic, whether it's pricing, whether it's uh, pictures, whatever it is. Feedback should be received. Um, as far as overpricing, that's a very bad thing in this market right now.
Yeah.
It's very bad. You waste a lot of people's time. I try not to overprice, and if I'm not, I'm coming for a price adjustment within 3 to 4 weeks.
Understood. All right. So now let's assume that buyer's offer's gone through, and now we're on to the home inspection phase. What questions should a buyer be asking a home inspector during the course of the inspection?
Well, home inspection is more about safety than cosmetic.
Right.
Uh, Home inspection is not the time for you to go in and try to get credits and ask for money back. I've been using this phrase a lot, roadmap. A home inspection is the roadmap for you as you buy a home, as you live in it, the things that you may have to correct or the things you may have to deal with. What type of questions should a buyer ask? Are safety questions. How is the roof? How is the foundation? How are the mechanicals? How is the electrical? Right? We're not in here talking about, chip and paint or, you know, uh, cement cracked in the front on the staircase.
Right.
You know, uh, Safety issues. You should be asking safety questions. And at that point in time, if you don't feel comfortable with the safety questions, you can always ask to get out of contract or get those issues corrected.
Okay.
Yeah, so safety questions are more important.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's say now something goes wrong with an inspection and the buyer needs to find another house.
Mm.
So have you started seeing a rise in levels of inventory, or is it still just as constrained as it was before? Is it getting better?
It's a great question. And like my main man, Neil Karen,
Couldn't be here today, unfortunately.
I brought some stats. So, the Connecticut market is very interesting compared to the rest of the country, even as close as New York. New York is pretty much the
Boston too.
biggest market. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Boston is red hot.
Yep.
We are still red hot. Okay. Is inventory rising? Slightly. When I say slightly, I'll give you our absorption rate. Absorption is the amount of properties that are available in a month between everything is sold. Our absorption rate as of right now is at a 2.2.
2.2. Like what's a healthy absorption rate? Like in a healthy
A
market?
healthy absorption rate, a normal absorption rate, they say it's around I want to say a 6.
Okay.
Okay, once you start getting to around 3, you're starting to get somewhat into a buyer's market. What's so interesting about the absorption rate and what we're going through is that it's only risen about a point since 2021, 2022.
Okay. So when people say like, "Oh yeah, there's more inventory," there quote unquote is more inventory.
But the days on market is decreasing.
Okay.
The prices are increasing.
Price is still increasing.
The average per square foot is increasing,
Yeah.
right? And the dollar volume is increasing slightly. So what's that telling you? Right?
Yeah.
We're still on the seller's market, but not only that, uh, we still have a lot of buyers, and we still have low inventory.
Right.
So I don't foresee things. If you're looking at the data, I don't foresee things changing for a very long time. If they drop the interest rates,
Yeah.
what's going to happen?
So you know what? I actually have a different theory about this. If we drop interest rates, right? I think you're going to see a lot of those people that were in the fours, you know, start to be able to justify. Well, I can sell my house
Mm.
and I can trade, you know, a $200,000 mortgage for a $200,000 mortgage at a similar interest rate.
Mm.
So I think you could see inventory start to rise a little bit. Just because, like, you know, I mean, people like me who've locked in a low interest rate on their home during COVID,
Right.
you know, that might be, you know, so let's take me for example. You know, we're now empty nesters, you know, and
Yeah.
we might be looking to downsize our house. But we can't really do that right now because, you know, we're going to pay twice as much as we pay for our house, and the interest
Right.
rates right now are triple what we have right now.
Right.
But if rates come down and I can sit there and throw, you know, some money at a mortgage and really only borrow what I need, like, you know, what my current loan is
Mhm.
at a, you know, reasonable interest rate, I think that you would see a lot of people say, okay, this is a justification that I can make, you know.
Right. But those houses are going to fly.
They are.
As
Yep.
soon as they come on the market.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I bet you it's going to open up that inventory a little bit because, like,
Right.
you know, it's like if you can trade off, you know, some equity for even more equity in a new property.
I believe we have that many buyers.
Oh, I believe we do too.
I believe we have that many buyers that I don't even know how much interest rate has to drop before that inventory. You're going to really see a big difference.
I think foreclosures,
They are on the rise.
yeah, foreclosures were at an all-time low, and now they
rising.
are rising.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely rising. It's not, especially in the inner city.
yeah,
100%.
gotcha. Can you describe your experience with clients who have specific need situations, like first-time home buyers, or like, you know, I need to find a house that can, you know, house me and my extended family and generational living. You know, like how do you work with those customers to find what they need?
That's all on pre-qualifying. It's all on the questions.
Okay.
That's all on the initial interview that you have with them. And being able to ask open-ended questions. Who, what, when, where, how.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how would you feel if we found a home, 2,400 square feet, a 3-bedroom, and you want 2,600 and that's not available? Which is the difference of that?
Sure.
Would you be okay with that? Right? It's always in the question that you ask.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's talk about investors, you know, because this is a segment of the population that I think is going to come back in a big way in the next probably year or two. You know, like when we do start seeing more levels of inventory. How do you help an investor determine, like, you know, the cash flow? Like, how do you help them figure out if buying a property is actually going to be a moneymaker for their long-term financial goals?
It depends on the investor, right? I'm seeing a lot of the investors that were buying multifamilies not buying as much as they were because the price on multifamilies and the inventory is so low and the prices are so high. They're almost buying condos. It only makes sense to buy 3 condos opposed to a 3-family.
Mm-hmm.
In that situation, most investors in the multifamily district, they want to make like a 10% cap on their money, right? If that's justifiable, you just kind of direct them to the pricing because they want to know about pricing.
Mm-hmm.
If it's just, you know, an investor who's fixing and flipping, they like to make 100,000 on their money.
Okay.
That's like
We all do. But
that's what they like to do, right?
Sure.
So if you got a house that's worth 400, they're only going to want to pay 200, roughly. I mean, they have a 70%.
There's a margin. There's
Yeah.
a margin built in
But
there.
that right there, that's what they're trying to accomplish.
Right.
Right. So if you could fit it in there, maybe 2.25, and they're spending 3.25, they might go for the 75,000. The market's a little soft right now as far as investing. So you're not going to make as much money as
Right.
you were at one point. But it's
Yeah, I
basically-
imagine during, like, you know, like when prices are, like, you know, skyrocketing, that, like, you know, your margins are going to have to slim down if you're an investor.
Right, 100%, or anything else. But nobody wants to carry cash anymore.
Right.
So you got to put it somewhere.
That's actually a great way to look at
You got to
it.
put it somewhere. Got to keep it working. Right?
All right, last question for you. How do you handle clients who are facing challenges during their financing process, or just overall difficulties during a transaction? Like how do we, sometimes people kind of sometimes feed into it. Sometimes people are trying to be more de-escalating. What's your strategy for that?
Real estate is simple. It is not easy. It can be very highly emotional. You have to be a professional. We like to say you keep your emotions between the lines. Don't get caught up in the rumors. Don't get caught up in the gossiping. Don't get caught up with the agent who's upset that the seller's not giving the buyer commission. You are a professional through and through.
Yeah.
And your job is to get to the finish line.
Right.
So, me as a driver, because there's 4 characteristics.
Sure.
Right. Me as a driver, I'm great at that. So I don't get emotional too much.
Yeah.
I kind of got
blinders on.
Blinders on.
Just get to the finish line.
Right. But it's that staying a professional and knowing what you're here to do.
I never really understood the feeding into it part. So for me, it's like look, you've been in the business long enough. Like you've seen some transactions, go south. It's just the nature of the beast, right?
Yeah.
I've always found that you waste more time by feeding into it than just by, look, let's just refocus and let's just get here.
It sounds easy to do, right?
It does. But and sometimes people are willing to. All right, you know what? You're right. Like let's just get through this, right?
So this is what I've noticed in works, right? I got a client right now. It's a probate deal. The lady's husband just died in maybe March and April. Left over 2 houses. House in Miami or in Florida, I forget where, Florida. Took longer to sell. They're in a buyer's market.
Sure.
Okay. Listed her house with me in Danbury. Thought it would go smoother. The house in Florida closed quicker. This one didn't close. Extremely upset and had to get an extension. Very emotional. Now she's very emotional because her husband passed and she needs money. And what's going on? She didn't want to sign the extension, right? I found out what really works is just to be a human. Understand their situation. Don't get mad because the deal was, called commission breath.
Mm-hmm.
You can't have commission breath. You have to be you got to be real.
Yeah.
Okay. You have to listen to your client and understand. Like, listen, rightfully so. She's upset. I'm on your side. Like, I'm on your team. You never want to be the guy or the female that they want you. They're going to think that you're just about getting a check.
Sure. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, people are smart. Like they can smell right through you.
Right through you.
Like they know a salesperson versus a professional.
A real person.
Yeah.
That's been my biggest thing about my whole journey with this real estate is I stopped trying to be somebody else.
Yeah.
There's only one me. There will only be one me. I have to be me. I'm in somebody's house. They have to like me for who I am. So,
Right.
And they have to feel comfortable in their own skin. And then once we are there, then we can handle this deal.
Yeah. Awesome. Hey man, that was it for me. Anything you want to plug before we head out?
Well, no. 5-Star Realty, JG Kemp, JG and Associates, been moving. I feel for other agents that have to compete against me. I'm a very serious agent.
Fantastic. All right, man. Hey, it was really good seeing you again. Thanks again for doing
Yeah,
this.
thanks for having me. See you later.